Hello folks, Israel Epstein here. Wanted to chat with you briefly about the RWS Diana 34 Classic, which is what you've seen me shooting out here with my boy and doing some little competitions with him, and I had some competitions with Leroy on our Sabbath the other night. It was kind of nice. This thing is a fantastic pellet gun and it's really cool, but I wanted to make you aware of something, that if you're not familiar with the a spring-loaded break action, high tension spring powered pellet gun, you may not be totally familiar with this. And I just wanted to share a couple of things with you about maintenance on this thing, because I experienced something that you probably have too. If you have been shooting any gun like this for any length of time, you probably discovered that it's a powerful spring-loaded piece of equipment, and it will actually, because of the power of that spring and the weird recoil action, this thing will just basically come unzipped. The screws will all work themselves loose rather quickly, and even with Loctite. So when I first put this gun together, it's been a few thousand rounds now, but after a short period of time, probably like 500 rounds, it's going to the groups are going to open up quite a bit to 1.5 inches to sometimes 2 inches, and it's just hitting all over the place, and you can't figure out what in the heck's going on. So you get to looking at everything, and you figure out that all of the screws and bolts have worked themselves loose rather quickly, even if they're Loctited. So I'm going to show you on this gun some problem areas that you just want to be aware of. This gun, it just as recently as yesterday, was shooting like 2-inch groups. And I got to examining it again and found, sure enough, it was working itself loose. And I had Loctited it and, gotten them torqued down to the proper specs, and everything was nice and tight with Loctite. But it's a powerful spring, and it will come unzipped. So let me show you, I'll take the camera off of there and show you some of the things about this gun. Okay, first of all, these little screws on the bottom of what appears to be a silencer, but it's not, it's basically just a handle for cocking it. Those things will come loose, and that'll be pretty much your first indication, because when you go to cock the thing, you'll feel a little bit of a slight movement in that thing. And you can tell that I have just retightened those and put Loctite on them just last night. These two side screws will also come loose rather quickly on both sides. Your trigger guard screws will also come loose. I don't know if you can see this very well because of the shadows and whatnot, but these have held pretty tight. But there are screws that go through here to lock into the receiver on the RWS Diana, and they will definitely come undone. They had backed themselves out and were buttoned up against the scope completely. Another thing is your little dials on here. These have those little screws on the side so that you can reset the turrets. Those little screws on the sides of the turrets will also work themselves loose until your caps just fall off. And also the actual ring will also come loose. So basically, you really want to be aware that just about everything can and will come loose on this thing because of the high-powered spring. And what you want to do is just make sure that you're taking a watch out for it, making sure everything is good and tight and solid. This little bee wants to come and watch us. That's cool. So make sure that all of your screws are nice and tight. Get them all snugged up. Use some blue Loctite or some red Loctite. It doesn't really matter. It's going to work itself loose. You might opt for the blue Loctite since it's supposed to be permanent, or more permanent than red, but I might suggest even using that. Also, you just want to put a few drops of oil inside there where that spring is, just run your little oil dripper, just a couple of drops along there, and then just work the spring back and forth a few times. That's how you lubricate your spring. Now, this is not a a scope that is made for a spring-powered gun. It's a 22 Magnum scope. It's actually does pretty well. As long as all the screws are tightened up, it holds its zero. It hasn't destroyed the reticle. It's a cheap scope, and I just haven't felt like buying a spring-loaded, air gun rated scope for this thing yet, because this one's just working fine for now. The only thing is that the ocular focus on the back, just you take a couple shots and you're going to find that it's backing off and it is no longer in focus. So every couple of shots you're going to want to do that. I was thinking about putting some freaking duct tape on there, man, just to keep it, straight. This is my beater shooter. Get all of my, trigger pull and prone practice here in the backyard. Just don't have to go out to the desert and such and waste gas and lots of expensive ammo. So this is an excellent practice gun. And since I have just gone through this regimen of tightening up all these screws, I wanted to show you, I've got a little target set up over here, one of these little 25-yard bench rest targets, and we're going to see how it groups at 25 yards after having everything tightened up. So let's check it out. Shot number 2. Number 3. Shot number 4. Looks like I pulled that one just a little bit. Let's go shot number 5. And there it is, 5 shots. Now you can see that it is not exactly sighted in, it's slightly high. I can fix that. What I can't fix is it shooting crooked groups. Okay, we'll move down just a little bit. And let's try it on the one next to it for our second 5-shot group. Go for box number 4. Down a little bit. Shot 2. Box number 4. Shot 2. Shot 3 on box number 4. Okay. Shot number 4 on box number 4. And here comes shot number 5 on box number 4. Pulled it. Dropped it slightly. But I think overall you can come down. 1, 2, 3 clicks should be good. Just take like 2 shots or 3 shots at the next one over on the top right and just make sure that we're nice and centered in. Shot number 1 on box 5. There she is. That's 1. Number 2. Three. It's too good. I need to keep going. Okay, here's 4. Ooh, pulled it a little bit. But I think you can see that after having performed a little bit of maintenance on this thing, pretty darn accurate. Not bad at all. Much, much better than it was before.